Hey everyone, and welcome to our March webinar here for our Wisdom Creator group, which you can view in Wisdom Creators on our Facebook page, or if you're tuning on YouTube, thank you so much for being here as well. And this month's theme is Mad March, Make a Difference March, and we're talking all about kindness. Now, we did a lot on World Kindness Day, about random acts of kindness, the importance of kindness. So today we want to talk about how kindness differs across cultures and what kindness might mean for you, which might be something different to somebody else. And I'm joined today by our wonderful program director, Adele Jacobs. Thank you so much for being with me here today and looking forward to a discussion on kindness and culture.
Yeah, I want to thank you for the invite for doing this, and I'm looking forward to this as well. And I want to welcome everyone that's watching us live now or watching the replay, and just entice them to engage with us and give their feedback and their perspectives as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Adele, and it's really great to have you here today. And if you are tuned in, please say hi, drop a hi in the comments box. Let us know where you're tuning in from, whether you're tuning in live or you're watching the replay. And please do share your thoughts. So we've got the question running across the ticket tomorrow on the bottom here that says, how does kindness differ across cultures? So please share your thoughts below so we can bring it into the session today, so we can share different perspectives on how kindness might differ across cultures. And I just also want to take one moment to acknowledge that it is World Sleep Day today. So if you want to become more conscious of your sleep, learn about the importance of sleep, then there's going to be lots of materials and posts in our Coaching Minds Hub. So you can check out our hub and keep up to date with World Sleep Day and the importance of your sleep. But getting back onto track, Adele, I'm going to open it up. How does kindness differ across cultures? Now, we had a few comments. I don't know, did you see the few comments we had on the event before we came into today? And we had a
Yes,
few people say that kindness is kindness, and in my country we do a lot of kindness acts and things like that. So what's your opening perspective, Adele? How do you think kindness differs across cultures?
Paul, I must say, I went onto Google and I sort of researched it, but very briefly. And what I've picked up is that there is a different in culture where you get people that's focused individualistic, or that are focused community. Um, and they've actually given some countries that's more focused on the individual and people that's more focused on the community, which was quite interesting for me. It's something that I've never picked up before or even thought about. And they say what I've picked up is where people are based on that individual one, they go to person kindness. um, and it's normally family members or friends. Where you get the community, where they focused on the community, their family, their friends, and then people that they don't know. So for me, it's interesting to go into the different cultures, um, and really to go and reflect: are you individual or are you more community based, focused? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure that will differ depending on the culture that you're raised in and the culture that you're used to. But I've never seen that. But it's really interesting. People who help people on an individual basis, in terms of that's their method of kindness to other people that are pulling together community and sharing that kindness in terms of looking after the community. That's a really interesting fact because we can look at cultures, we can also look at governments, as well. How as a nation, how does kindness differ? For example, how does kindness differ from the UK to South Africa to India to Poland to people over here in Colombia as well? How does that differ? And I think for us to really understand how it differs across cultures, for us to understand, what kindness is, what are acts of kindness, because I'm sure that we all give acts of kindness and receive kindness in different ways. I don't know if there's any examples you can think of in acts of kindness that you've received, or that you've seen as well. I think it's really inspiring to share stories where you've seen kindness and observed kindness. And we can talk about maybe the differences between how somebody might help somebody in India to how somebody might help people in the UK to how people might help people in South Africa. Let's start to look at the different ways in which we can express kindness.
Well, I've got I tend to really focus on it. So if someone actually does something, I go and look out of what perspective did they come. For me, the other day I was battling to get into the car, and someone actually stood there waiting for me to get into the car. After I said to them, no, because I know I'm a bit slow with my walking, I said to them, no, they can pass. And they said, no, they will wait. And when I got in the car, they said, are you fine? I'm like, I'm good. I'm used to this. From people helping my dad because his leg was amputated. And the other day he went into the supermarket by himself. And I was waiting for him in the car. And then eventually, after a long time, he came back, but some Indian gentleman pushed him. And I said to him, thank you for helping my dad. Where do you work? Are you working in the mall? Because it's like the supermarket and then there's a few other shops. And he said, no. I was just walking past and I thought, let me help your dad. So for me, that comes from the Indian culture. Although we are based in South Africa, he was Indian, and from his culture, it was help a stranger. Let me help you to the car. And he put the wheelchair in the car and helped my dad into the car. And we just thanked him because we were grateful for the help that he's given. So for me, that comes from that community. Let me see what difference I can make without expecting anything in return. I've had people helping me in different ways, whether it was financial, whether it was just with a kind word, kind smile, encouragement. For me, that's also kindness.
Yeah. No, good. So there's lots of different ways in which we can express kindness, but I really want to go back to that point you mentioned about that Indian man that was helping your dad. He didn't work for them all. He just seen your dad need help and he came out and gave him that support. And as you mentioned, that comes from his culture. And I'm just thinking now is one of the biggest cultural differences I can see. I have a life in Colombia, I have a life in the UK, so I see a lot in both countries. And the UK is well renowned for being one of the most charitable countries. We have a lot of charities set up. We do a lot of work to help people abroad and in our country as well. So that's the way in which the kind of English do a lot of kindness. But and you go to Colombia, there's charities set up here, not to the extent that there is in the UK, and not to the extent of global aid that you get from outside the UK. But what I really love about the Colombian culture that you don't see in England is if something happens in the street, if someone has a fall, if somebody's tires broke or something's happening, you will get a crowd of people that are going up there to help that person. If they see a person in need, the Colombians, they get together, they come together and they support. You don't see that in England. If somebody's tires burst, people will just walk past. They'll leave it. Not my problem. Not my problem. And for me, there's a huge difference in the ways in which that kindness gives, just from Colombia to England. In England's all about we set up charities, we donate money, and that again gets us onto a level of, some people think that kindness is just making a generous donation, which it is, but is that if you donate, say, £5,000 to a charity, does that mean that you're more charitable than somebody that works in a soup kitchen that provides food to the homeless every week? How do you measure the levels of kindness? And it does change. I think it does. And it's not just in countries, but also within subcultures, within countries as well. As you mentioned, they bring that culture. I think that's really brilliant of a diverse culture, especially in England, is the sub communities that you get within England, where you see different acts of kindness as well.
Being from South Africa, I mean, we've got a lot of different cultures. So it's just to see how people react. It's like you're saying, the tire will burst in Colombia, people will come and help. In South Africa, you just sit and most people just sit back and watch. Or the latest thing is, let's pull our phone out and let's get a viral video, or let's record this and put it out there, rather than actually just putting your phone down and go and assist. And I think it's the mindset that we are currently in, because we are seeing so many things on the social media, the Instagrams, the TikToks, that's trying to some is making jokes or things, which is for me breaking down the kindness that's supposed to be there. And then you get the people that's actually doing the kindness and trying to get it out there to get that snowball effect. And coming back to South Africa, we are there. Sometimes the communities will stand together, and sometimes they're more based on the individualism. I will help one person to one person, and then you get others that will be active in the community and drive that community thing. Something that I've also picked up, and I'm giving a mouthful now, but what I've picked up is Singapore actually has government funding for acts of kindness. which I never knew. That's one of the, I think it's the only country that has government funding to bring that out. In Iran, I read about they call it a wall of kindness, where they actually have space with hangers and place where you can put food or clothes. And those in need can just go and pick. And if you want to donate something, you just go and hang it. Why can't we start implementing that in our countries, in our cultures, to give that assistance?
Yeah, and I think that depends on your government as well. I think there's not to go off on a political tangent here, but corruption I think plays a big part in whether your government is not or is not going to be there to provide for its people and beyond as well. Because the UK does, to be fair, is quite good. It does have something called gift aid. So if you're a taxpayer and you're donating to a charity, then that the government will match the amount that you put up to a certain amount. So they do give to charities as a government as well. But I think corruption plays a huge part in that across countries. And then that's why I think culture plays a part as well. Because if your government's really corrupt, if you come from a country where the government doesn't look after its people, then it's reliant on the people itself to build, as you meant, at a community level, to look after the community, to give that support, to give that help and support those around them. We've got someone tuned in, someone saying good morning here. So welcome, it's good to see you here. If you want your name to appear, please just type it in or accept the permissions just above in the link of the post, and it will allow your profile picture and your name to share. So Dale, I really like what you're saying there. People putting things on social media, and I don't want to go on a deep discussion because we've already had a discussion of that on World Kindness Day. But it's really got me reflecting. It's not what we do, it's how we do it that's important when it comes to kindness. And if you want to inspire kindness, there's a way about doing it. And I think this is an important part, especially for Mad March. It's go out, help people. You give a homeless person a sandwich and a coffee, that's fantastic. You don't need to take a picture of it. You don't need to put it on Facebook. And those that put it on Facebook, okay, yes, you're maybe doing it because you have good intentions, but the way in which that's being communicated to the majority of the people or the majority of the world is that you're doing it for some kind of egotistical gain. It's look at me, I'm supporting homeless people. So I think if you have good intentions and that's how you want to portray it, you want to encourage people to help the homeless, then I think the better way of doing that, it's not what you do, you've done the act of kindness, and we don't want the trolls on the internet to attack these people so much that they stop doing acts of kindness, because that's going to be counterintuitive. So you've got to be wary that if you're doing that and this is how you're being portrayed, then you need to stop because you're having an adverse effect on the message you're trying to deliver. So I think a more sensible and smart way of doing things, if you really want to inspire kindness, is not to show a picture of you giving a homeless person a sandwich and a coffee, but actually go live or do a video with a message. Give facts, give statistics of how many homeless people, this is what the life's like for the homeless people. So go out today and buy a homeless person a coffee. That is more inspiring than just saying, look what I did, go and do the same thing. You don't need a picture, you don't need to explain that you did it. All you have to do is share that there's a need, that there's people suffering out there, and encourage and inspire people that they can do something about that. So go out, give them a task. We've got this checklist in Coaching Minds. I'm intrigued to see how many people, and I'm going to come live at the end of the month to see how many people actually do something on that checklist. And they don't have to tell us about it. They can tell us at the live, but they don't have to post things about it. But how do they inspire people to go out and take action? I'm not bothered about seeing people do that through the group, but as long as people are doing it behind the scenes, then we're inspiring people to do that kindness. But there's a way, it's not what we do, it's the way we do it that is going to inspire or give us a negative impact or a negative perspective from people that we're trying to inspire.
Paul, I like what you're saying, and I totally agree with you. And also make it a daily habit. If you can afford it, offer someone a daily coffee, or go and even from your house, make a few cups of coffees and go and hand it out. And then inspire other people to start making those small daily habits. It doesn't have to be a coffee. Open a door for someone. Smaller things that doesn't cost money is also kindness. And I think that's something we often miss. We think, okay, I need to spend money to be kind, and it's not true. Is how can you help a person if you see a car that's stalled alongside the road, which I witnessed the other day. There was a taxi, and one guy was pushing it, and no one helped. Everyone just looked. No one thought, okay, let me be kind and go and help him around the corner. It's going to help the traffic. It's going to help everything. And at the end of the day, you'll feel better. It's just start inspiring people and make it daily habits. Don't just do it once off because now it's for today, I'm going to do my act of kindness. It should become a daily thing and where you inspire others to do it daily.
Yeah. And then, it'll come a lot easier to some people than others. I know a lot of people that we have in Culture Minds, we're lucky to be surrounded by so many kind people who are just kind on a general basis, on a day-to-day basis. It's just who we are. It's in our nature. And I really like what you're saying. A lot of us think that kindness has to be money. It involves giving a donation to a charity. It involves buying something for a homeless person. But I really like your point where, it's something simple as giving a smile, holding the door for somebody, something, just being there for somebody is an act of kindness. But when I was back in England, it was about a year ago. I was, or a couple of years ago. It was a couple of years ago. I bought a coffee for a homeless person. I sat and had a conversation with him, and one of the important points that he got across from me, right, is that he doesn't expect everybody to donate. He understands, the way people are, but what really bothers him is when he gets ignored. He says he prefers it, even an act of kindness of just saying, "Sorry, I don't have no change," or "God bless," or I hope somebody does it. Just some kind of acknowledgement to that person is a kindness, and it makes them feel better. What makes them feel worse is when they get dirty looks or people just walk past and ignore them. So your act of kindness, even if you don't have anything to give to somebody, just a smile and acknowledgement of that person can make a difference in their day. And for me, just having that conversation, it opened my eyes. It was a really good perspective on how people behave with people who are in need and people who are suffering as well. Because I feel like especially in England, there's a lot of negative homeless people are negatively looked upon because they're seen as alcoholics. If I give them any money, they'll spend it on drugs, and that negative perspective doesn't help the situation at all. So they tend to ignore them, tend to walk by, but they don't stop to think about what that person's gone through in their life to end up where they are on the streets in the UK. This differs from culture to culture massively.
Massively. And it brings me to another point that I wanted to bring in is how do you speak kindness? For me, it comes from a place of respect, a place of being helpful and compassionate. What is your language you do? I can go, like you said, I can go and I can hand out 20 coffees and not have the one conversation that I can feel good about. But what is about that connection you make? And that for me comes back to that community and that culture. Create that culture of being compassionate and really reaching out, not just doing one act, but put that message behind it. Make that connection with that person. I like the way that you said you had a conversation with him. You gave him a coffee, but you had a conversation. And I think it's something we will really start to get to know people and their backstories if we actually spend time with them after performing that act of kindness, even opening a door or closing a door or smile. Um, Change the smile to good morning, have a beautiful day, that type of thing. Just start creating that culture. It doesn't have to be your culture as a person, but start creating that culture of kindness.
Yeah. And I really like that, because I really think it starts with respect. It starts with just having those conversations, just having those smiles, just saying those good mornings. And I think what's happening, and it's sad to say that I think, and this is across all cultures, is kindness is starting to die out. I really feel like people are becoming more self-involved, and I think there's two key reasons behind that why kindness, no matter what culture you're in, is really dying. One is technology. People are too much in their phones, too much about themselves. And two, I really think we live in an entitled society. People think that in order to give something, they have to get something in return. There's this give to receive. The mentality is there, or they feel like the world or their society or their government or their family owe them something. They feel like they owe something, and until they get that, they're not going out and give other people. So I really think the mindset, the general mindset of society is becoming so negative, and we need to inspire that. We need to inspire people to be kind again, to get off technology, to get off their phones, to go out, because you can't give much kindness through technology. You're limited in what you can give. Like you can send a nice message to someone, excellent. You can come live and share your thoughts, and you can give someone a quick call, but it's nothing compared to what you can do with people in person.
No, I agree, and that's that connection. There is, for me, there is a connection through technology, but that in person, that energy exchange that you get from that in person. No, I agree with you that we need to refocus away from technology and more into in person and see the difference. And we can bring kindness, not even just to people. What kindness can you offer to animals? You might
Yeah.
see a dog in the street that's astray. Why don't you offer? Get some water in the bucket, a little bit of food. Offer that to or take him to an animal shelter. Um, Extend that beyond people, because kindness is not just, for me, it's broader. It's not just from human to human.
No, it's not. It's not just to animals neither, to the environment, to the world, And that's another thing where kindness might differ across cultures. So, okay, some countries might not do a lot of work to look after its people, but it's doing a lot of work to protect its environment, to look after its environment, to look after its animals, to look after nature. And again, that is another way in which kindness can differ across cultures. We're here to look after, again, community. That back to what you're saying at the beginning. There's certain cultures that are really community orientated, that look after the community in general rather than on an individual basis. And this is sparking a question. We're talking about the ability to be kind, to make kindness a daily habit. And a question that's come to my mind, and I don't know your thoughts, and anybody who's tuned in, I can see Sarangi's tuned in. Thank you so much for being here, Sarangi. It's wonderful to see you. I appreciate you taking your time out to listen to myself and Adele today. The question I have, and this is for anybody who's tuned in and for you, Adele, is can we be kind? Can we show kindness to others, to the environment, to nature, if we can't be kind to ourselves?
For me, I think kindness starts within. Um, and that's for me where you need to be careful, because that's where, if people think it's going to go to that, again, for me, to that self, and it's going to boost your ego, you need to be kind to yourself in a good way, and not take it to I am, to the word I and self. You need to be kind towards yourself so you can be kind towards others, if it makes sense what I'm saying. Because you can be so self-absorbed that kindness is not going to transfer to other people. But kindness starts with you. Be kind to yourself, but be kind to others too.
Yeah. No, I think you make some really good points there. Some really good points because sometimes people can, and I've seen this happen to some really kind people. Some really kind people can become so involved in themselves that they stop becoming kind, because they're on a path of self-love, or taking care of me right now, or whatever. But how long is that going to last? I get we go through stuff, life hits us hard, and when we're going through a lot of tough things, it can be hard for us to be kind. If we feel like we're being dealt a bad hand. But what we need to understand is that if we change our energy, if we're negative, we're just going to consume and create and generate more negativity for ourselves and for those of others. So we need to try and catch that and nip that in the bud as quickly as possible. If we are starting to feel those negative feelings, we're starting to change who we are, but we still need to keep that kindness, because it's the kindness and the way that we treat other people that is going to help us get over. I was watching, I think it was you that sent me a reel today, Adele. The guy that had the table, the Table 85 reviews, when he
Yeah.
was had people come up and things like that. And one of the things that popped up was that a person's happiness is dependent on the amount of strong relationships and connections that they have in their life. Happiness is really dependent on the relationships and connections that you have with others. And the way in which you build those connections is through kindness, is through gratitude, is through treating people with respect, because being humble.
And the interesting fact about that reel was the guy that actually set it up. At the end of the day, everyone that was around the table didn't even know he was the one that set it up. They were more focused on the gentleman that was seated with him, and that way that gentleman made friends. But for me, it's so important, because he just sat back. He didn't want the shine of the day. He just sat back, and that was his kindness that he gave out. So that was for me quite an interesting reel that you can take to so many levels if you really look at it in a deeper way.
Yeah. No, it was really, really good. Thank you for sharing that. It was really quite inspiring. It was a good start of my day. But it's kindness. It shows up in different shapes and forms, and I think there's certain ingredients and certain characteristics that we need to adopt, and we need to kind of to make it a daily habit, to make it easy. I think one, humility. If you're arrogant, you're going to struggle to be kind. You need to be humble. You really need to be a humble person. You need to care. You need to care about other people. If you don't have that caring and that empathy towards others, you're going to struggle to be kind. What else would you say you would need in terms of ingredients for kindness? So humility, empathy, caring.
For me, it's respect, understanding, compassion. It all builds up to you being a kinder person. But if you're going to disrespect people or even yourself, and you're not going to have self-respect, how can you live that out? How can you be respectful towards another? If you can't be compassionate to yourself, how can you be compassionate? It's giving that opposite. Asking yourself the question, am I helpful towards myself? And how can I help others? It's always the same thing, but opposite. Ask yourself the question and then live that out.
Yeah. And I think another one that plays a key part in that is thoughtfulness. We talked earlier on about, people think that kindness is about giving money, about being generous. There's a big, huge difference between generosity and kindness. And kindness for me is more the thought, the thinking behind that, the good intentions, the want to make a difference, no matter how you do that. Just sending someone a thank you note. Like we were having a conversation the other day, and we tend to always want to complain. We're always quick to complain. If something goes bad, we will send an email, we will complain about something, but we're never so quick to really recognize and support good service. And I love when you see good service, when you see someone stepping beyond what their normal job is, going that extra mile, however you want to phrase it. It's amazing to see. And how often do we acknowledge when people do something great for us or do something right for us? It's so easy for us to complain, but to really acknowledge a good service, it takes, some people struggle.
I agree with you. And I've actually got a practical example. The other day I was at the gym and the aircon wasn't working and the manager had it fixed. And he came out and he actually said to the lady, he says, are you enjoying the aircon that's working now? And she says, yeah. He says, yeah, you're quick to knock on my door when something's wrong, but why didn't you knock on my door to say thank you, the aircon is working? And that's a perfect example. What place are you coming from? And I like that you brought that up. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no, it's just something I reflected on the other day. It's like because I said to a friend, I was like, I'm gonna have to acknowledge this. I want to tell the manager just how much of a good job they've done. And they were like, why? Well, I don't understand. I said, but we're always quick to complain. If if they've done something bad, if we got a bad experience, we'd be straight to tell them. But why can't we tell them when they're doing something good? We need to tell people that when they're doing a good job, that they're doing a good job, and that inspires them, and that's an act of kindness. It's going to flow energy through. Kindness is contagious. And it's, for me, I think one of the important things is paying it forward. Always paying it forward. And I think, again, when it comes to kindness, it's something that people can struggle with. They feel like if somebody, and I used to be stuck in this in the past. If somebody gives me something or gives me an act of kindness, it could have made me feel a little bit uncomfortable, and I felt like I owed them something back, so I have to give them something back. But actually, it's not about that. If someone gives you an act of kindness, it's go out and give somebody else an act of kindness. Pay it forward rather than pay it back. I think it's really important to do.
No, I like that as well. And it is, can you accept it? Like you say, you felt a little bit uncomfortable. It is learning to accept that act of kindness and then pay it forward. You don't, like you say, don't pay it back, but being able to accept it and paying it forward is you saying thank you. So you might say to the person that did that act of kindness, you might say thank you, but on a deeper level, that thanks and that emotion will come when you pay it forward.
That energy goes, that energy continues, the flow continues. If you send it back, it tends to create a block and it doesn't move forward. So
Yeah.
hopefully today, anybody who's tuned in, who's watching the replay, please go out and just do something kind. And I know we have a lot of people here in Wisdom Creators who are kind, who are really making a difference, whether it's just being there to support other members in the group, or you're running some kind of project. I know a few of you run projects in your local communities, projects online to really make a difference. Just keep up that great work and help us think of ways in which we can inspire others to really step outside of that self-love, that self-care, and start to think about other people again, to really inspire people to go out there and make a difference to the lives of others. Because it's needed in the world right now. It is much needed. There's been a lot of, we've gone through, as a global society, we've gone through a hell of a lot over the past 2-3 years, and it's time that we step back in, we start to show acts of kindness, and we start to build up that positive energy across the world and the general energy and feeling across people's mentalities as well. So, Adele, any final words from you for today?
For me, Paul, I would say is go and learn from other cultures. Go and see how other cultures do their acts of kindness and learn from them. And also, in your way, from your culture, teach others how to perform acts of kindness, and just get that snowball effect. And let's really just go out there and share that kindness, and share the love with that comes with kindness.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Adele. It's really wonderful words. I think one thing we can finish off with today is that's between the two of us. And if you're tuned in, share yours as well below. Let's get rid of this idea, this concept that in order to be kind, you need to have money. Let's start to share that. Let's think, we've already shared a few already, but let's just reel off some things that people go out and do to show kindness to other people that doesn't cost a penny, whether it's the people, animals, the environment, whatever. Let's list off a few. Do you want to share a few first?
Ones that I've already mentioned is open the door for someone, keep the door open for someone, elevator doors. For me, I'm going, and again, I'm going to refer to opening the door. It's opening the door to something else. It's opening that door to something new for that person. Maybe even if you walk and you get a flower next to the road, pick the flower and give it to someone that passes you by. There's so many little things. Offer a coffee, a smile, just greet, a thank you, have a beautiful day. Just share those messages out there. It's not going to cost you anything, and just be kind.
Check in with a friend, make a phone call, have a conversation with people who serve you. One of the big things that people look at me here in Colombia confused is if somebody's serving me in a shop or in a restaurant and I ask them how they are, how their day is, they're so taken back that somebody's actually taken the time to ask them how the day is. Because normally people come in and they just make the order and that's it. There's no conversation between them. So just have a conversation with people who serve you. That is an act of kindness. Get to know, get to connect. Like you said, smile at people. Pick up trash. If you see trash on the floor or rubbish on the floor in the street, pick it up. Be the person to pick it up, put it in the bin. I did that once and people started to follow me. I had a little group of people that were helping me clear up the street. It was absolutely fantastic. You just by doing that act and having other people see it, you inspire them to take action. There's loads of things, and I'm sure there's loads of opportunities that you see in your day-to-day life when you're out there where you could do something to make a difference, but you don't because you wait for somebody else to take that first step. So if I was to encourage someone, and I think the key message for me today is be that leader, take that first step. When you see that opportunity to be kind, don't wait for somebody else to do it first. Take the lead, do it, and watch the people follow you. Become a leader. I really think if you want to inspire people to become kind, you need to be a leader and you need to take that first action. So that's my key message from today, Adele.
It's a beautiful message. Key message for me is just learn, be kind, and go share kindness.
Excellent. And I think what we'll do, Adele, is a kindness gesture from Coaching Minds, so we can be there for people. We've got a lot of people we haven't connected with. I think what we'll do towards the end of the month to close Mad March is we'll hold like we did on Christmas Day, where we just held that space for people. Anybody who wants to connect with us, anybody who wants, we'll be sat on Zoom for 4 to 5 hours, and you can just join us. So we'll be working. When you pop in, we'll give you your full presence, full time and attention. If you want to share any struggles, anything you need help or support with, I'll be there, and a few people from Coaching Minds will be there to support us, and we'll have that day for support so we can give you our time and energy, because that is where true kindness comes from. Money costs, if you got loads of money and you give it away, it's generosity, it's nice, but there's nothing better than you can give to people than your time and your energy. So Adele, are we happy to commit to doing that at the end of this month?
I'm happy to commit to that. And I want to bring it back to that Christmas day that you had that open line, that open Zoom for the whole day, how impactful that was. And it really had the impact on so many lives that day, and the connection we built, although it was online, but we still had that connection from globally. And for me, now that you mentioned that, and I'm coming back to the word impactful, be impactful in your kindness. What impact can you make through being kind?
Yeah. No, definitely. So thank you so much, Adele. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in. If you're watching the replay, please feel free to share your thoughts. If there's anything we haven't covered, let us know how kindness is demonstrated or illustrated in your culture. We've got a global organization here. We want to hear from you guys. So please share how culture is demonstrated in your culture, and also how kindness is demonstrated in your culture, and also share any ideas that you have, any thoughts that you have on kindness in general. Thank you so much for watching this. And Adele, thank you so much for your time, your energy, and your wisdom. I really, really appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much.